Hi guys, this is Miss Wise coming to you again. I thought that this would probably be the best way to go through this assignment for today. All you have to do is fill in the blanks and listen to me as I read through the notes. We're in this for another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, so we need to get it together. We're going to go through this together and learn as we both go, because the teachers are at just as much as a disarray as you guys are. So I am trying to look into doing some other things next week. I'm looking at different resources to give you guys some different online things to do. But for right now, we're just going to stick with these lessons and we'll get more into it next week. Okay. So we are starting with the Paleozoic era. We did Precambrian last week and we are starting with Paleozoic. So your paper or your document right here, Paleozoic era is from 2.92 million years ago. It comes from the Greek word meaning ancient life, and you want to put that in quotation marks. The Earth's land masses are scattered in the world ocean. The land masses had collided to form a supercontinent called Pangaea. That is Pangea. This era is divided into 7 periods, and it contains massive amounts of fossils. So a lot of the fossils that we found when we went on our walk are from this era. The fossils contain both marine, land, plants, and animals. All right. So you guys can see this map is Pangaea and how all the continents are together. And yes, I still have not lost my fingernail. So all of the continents are all together. So this map right here shows us how to do that. The Cambrian period, which is the earliest period of the Paleozoic era. This showed advanced forms of marine life. Marine organisms had hard parts. Now, what do I mean by hard parts? That is like shells, kind of like our shellfish, snails, stuff like that. These are due to warm, shallow seas. Most organisms were invertebrates, which means they have no backbone, and an example is a trilobite. Now, if you look at the bottom of your paper, you have this picture of a trilobite. And if we were in class, I have a trilobite fossil that I found when we were digging out my grandpa's pool. So I would have brought that in. So hopefully we'll get back in and I'll be able to bring that in, show you guys. Now, I know that you guys can look at these notes and say that they are really long. However, they're really not. There's a lot of pictures in these notes. So for the next week or so, don't freak out when you see the notes, because I try to put as many pictures in here as possible to give you more of a visual as to what we're seeing in that period of Earth. Okay, so the second most common animal is the brachiopod. And this is a group of shelled animals. And a few of these still exist today. Now, we didn't really see many when me and my seniors were down in Florida, but you've probably seen them where you would scoop up some of the sand in the ocean and you would have those little shells that would kind of like burrow down in it. Those are brachiopods. So those are some of the ones that are living right now. And if you look at the picture that is on your notes, you'll see different kinds of it. The next one is the Ardophysian, which I know I'm butchering that. The brachiopod species increases and trilobites begin to decline. The grapholite flourished and are used as index fossils for this period. Now, if you remember from back before I left for Florida, we talked about index fossils. And what do index fossils help us do with our rocks? They help us age them, right? So if I have different brachiopods that I found it, I know it has to be from this time period. I don't know the exact year, but I know it's within this range. And that helps scientists be able to date the fossils that are found at that time. There is no plant life on land during this period, and there is evidence of ostraderms, which are the oldest vertebrate fossil. They had no jaws or teeth, and their bodies were covered with bony plates. Now, what can we think of as having like that shell, that hard bony plate? A hard bony plate would be kind of like an arachnid, but we think of this as being a sea arachnid. but think of them as having no mouth, no jaws, no teeth. Basically, like a suction that comes out. The Silurian period. The echinoderm, relative to sea stars or coral, flourished. The scorpion-like sea creatures are called eurypteroids. They are abundant, and I will go ahead and spell these two words out for you. So for echinoderm, it's ECHINODERM, and those are the ones that are relative to the sea stars and the corals. The scorpion-like creatures that are called eurypteroids is EURYPTERIODS, and those were the ones that were abundant during this period. The earliest land plants and animals such as spiders and millipedes evolved on land. However, if you have seen any of like the Jurassic Parks or Journey to the Center of the Earth or anything like that, you will know that these spiders are huge. These millipedes are huge. So think of a semi truck that has not quite this big, but if you were to take one of the little toy cars and put a train behind it of like 7 or 8 different cars on that train, that would be the size of one of these millipedes. They were huge, and those were the first evolved on land. Now, if you look, you have your picture of the arachnoids, and here is another version of it. But you guys have these pictures, and you guys can look at them better than me holding them in front of my phone screen. Next is the Devonian period, and this should sound a little bit familiar to you, because if you remember when we talked about the first and the Precambrian and how the Earth was broken up into times, that is because of Devonshire, England, is where these fossils were found. So that's why they named it the Devonian period. And this was the age of the fish. This contains fossils of many kinds of bony fish. The lungfish had the ability to breathe air. And if you want to, please, I encourage you to Google lungfish, because I don't think I was able to find a picture at the time of doing these notes to show you exactly what they look like. And the next one is the Rhyptician. And this is RHIPIDISITIAN. And these had strong fins that probably allowed them to crawl out of water. So think of how creepy that would be if a shark decided to crawl out of water. That's kind of what this is, a fish all of a sudden being able to crawl out of water by using its fins. The first true amphibian, and I'm Ichthyostega, involved from these fish. And if you look at that, that kind of looks like an animal that we see today. And we actually have some at our zoo. So think about it for a minute. What does that kind of look like? The first one that came to thought for me would be the Komodo dragon. So if you look at that, doesn't it kind of look like a Komodo dragon? The earliest land plants, such as giant horsetails and ferns and cone-bearing plants, began to develop. Now, what is a cone-bearing plant? A cone-bearing plant is a type of evergreen. Okay. Carboniferous period. This is divided into the Mississippian and the Pennsylvanian. So if you think about that, that should tell you where these fossils were found. So if you need for Mississippian, it's MISSISSIPIAN, and Pennsylvania is PENNSYLVANIAN. And this is periods or epochs. The climate this time was generally warm. Humidity was extremely high all over the world. Forests and swamps covered much of the land. Now, if you remember the video that we watched before I left, and the earth was going from raging volcanoes to calming down and having water. So the water was being used in order to cool those volcanoes and that lava. So that's why we had the warmth and the swamps and those really thick, high humidities. I wouldn't want to live then. All right, moving on to our last page. It is believed that coal deposits in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia are the fossilized remains of these forests and swamps. Insects such as giant cockroaches, now think of a cockroach being the size of a beetle, a Volkswagen Beetle car. No, thank you. And dragonflies were common on land. Reptiles were the first vertebrates fully adapted to life on land. And now we have the last period of the Paleozoic era. The Permian period marks the end of the Paleozoic era. First mass extinction of numerous Paleozoic life forms. All continents of the world had joined to form the supercontinent of Pangaea. Collisions of tectonic plates forced the Appalachian Mountains to rise, where the moist air couldn't rise over top of them. Shallow inland seas evaporate. Many marine invertebrates become extinct, and reptiles and amphibians were able to survive in the changing climate. Now, I'm going to go ahead and discuss tomorrow while I have you guys here watching this video. Tomorrow, you guys are going to start working on your part of your presentation. Not tomorrow, but if you're watching this on Monday, it will be Tuesday. So you're going to start working on your presentation. So when you're working on your presentation, you need to have a slide for Paleozoic just for the era itself. And then that's when you guys are going to go into the different periods. So the first one we're going to have is you're going to have a slide for the Cambrian period. Then you are going to have a slide for the Ordovician period, the Silurian period, the Devonian period, the Carboniferous period, and the Permian period. Now, I want you guys to get as much of this done as possible. However, if you would please turn in tomorrow 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to turn in your slides through the Silurian period. That is 4 slides that you would have to do. And then on Wednesday, we'll do the other 4. Okay? As long as you guys can agree to do that with me, I will take that and I will change your assignment a little bit for that one. Okay? Thank you guys. I hope you guys are missing me as much as I'm missing you. I'd rather be in the classroom with you and doing labs and other discovery stuff with you other than this, but we will bear with it, and I hope to see you guys soon. Good night. Bye.